Welcome to Meet the Chief Accounting Officer, Christie Kozlik, our new career-oriented interview format by the Controllers Council. My name is Neil Brown, Controllers Council Executive Director. And before I introduce our panelists, allow me to cover some brief housekeeping items. First, although we'll not have live Q&A today, feel free to use the GoToWebinar control panel to ask a question of our panelists or the Controllers Council, and we'll respond post-webcast. Second, a video recording of today's interview will be available to all attendees via an email link you'll receive in the next 24 hours. With that, I'm very pleased to introduce our panelist, Christie Kozlik, Chief Accounting Officer for Accel Entertainment, a leading distributed gaming operator in the United States. Prior roles included Vice President of Consolidations and SEC Reporting at Assurant and Director of Shareholder Reporting at Allstate. Christie got her start in public accounting at KPMG, where she worked in 3 offices and worked with various audit and advisory clients across numerous industries. She earned a BS Accounting and Legal Studies from Indiana University Bloomington. Christie, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. Well, let's get right to our questions. Our format is intended to get to a number of career-related questions and a so-called lightning round of Q&A. So my first question, what inspired you to pursue a career in corporate accounting?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like most people, when I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer or an accountant. Why those 2 choices were what I was thinking, I have absolutely no idea. But once I got into college, I really enjoyed my business school classes. Do you want me to turn on my camera?
Yeah, let's go to video.
That's fine. So just make sure that pops up. Perfect. So I very much enjoyed my accounting classes when I was in school and thought, hey, this is going to be great for me. I really am enjoying it. It makes sense. And then like any good, student at one of the bigger universities, they started brainwashing you very early on that Big 4 public accounting is what you should be doing with your career. And I always joke around, all of our schools were sponsored by KPMG, Deloitte, PwC. I mean, they were on campus all the time. So as I started looking at my career pathing, I thought, I think I'm going to go path of public accounting. And I was in there for the long haul, Neil. I was going to be a partner. I loved what I was doing. And then lo and behold, all of a sudden I got an email from a recruiter that just said Allstate was looking for its director of shareholder reporting. And I was like, nope, I don't think I'm ready to leave public accounting. And lo and behold, I think they must have bought the entire Chicago office distribution list because it also went to my husband, who was a senior manager. And he actually forwarded it back to me and said, this might be a good opportunity for you to look at. And I was like, okay. I joke around, do not follow my path. I think I reached out to the headhunter and was like, sure, this looks kind of interesting. I mean, who responds like that? You should really, put some more effort into that email back to the recruiter. But they still said, hey, they're interested. They like your resume, your background. They'd be interested in interviewing you. And lo and behold, I went and interviewed at Allstate. And within 2.5 weeks, I had a job offer in hand and then had to actually do the pro-con game of, was I really ready to leave public accounting? Was I ready to go be on the corporate side? So it took me, a few years in my career to move over to the corporate side. But I can say it's been absolutely fantastic. Really getting in on the corporate side makes you feel like you're part of the team. I mean, not that I wasn't as auditors before or an advisor, but once you're on the other side working directly with the corporation, hearing what their goals are, what they want to do. And I went into Allstate as their director of SEC reporting, shareholder reporting. So doing all the SEC filings really gives you the insight as to what the company's trying to accomplish, what their results look like. What is leadership trying to get the investors to understand? Where's the growth opportunity? So all of a sudden you get in and start learning stuff at a very high level very quickly. And I realized very quickly that I made the right call for me. It's been an absolute fantastic journey. And then ending up as the chief accounting officer at Accel has been just an absolute dream job for me.
Excellent.
So yeah, so I don't think my answer is probably different than a lot of them. We were told very early what to start doing and follow down that path.
Let's talk about your roles and responsibilities as a chief accounting officer, and then maybe how they differ from public accounting.
Yeah, so my role here as the chief accounting officer is actually pretty broad. As you can imagine, I have the accounting team. I also have the treasury functions under me, as well as taxes, SEC reporting, and then processing. So Accel is a leading distributor of gaming equipment, gaming and amusement. So if you go into a local establishment in the Illinois market, you might see literally beautiful slot machines within taverns and bars and truck stops. And it's a form of entertainment here in Illinois. We also have operations in Montana, Nevada, Nebraska, Iowa, Georgia, but it's called distributed gaming for a reason, because it's distributed out into the market versus going to a local, brick and mortar casino that you might go to. So it's a very very unique business model that we work with, and very fascinating. So when I started, I did not have processing under me, but then that got added on later. And that's literally what you'd expect, almost like a bank, processing cash, figuring out what we need out in the field, working more on the operational side. So I would say how it's very similar is I deal with accounting, right? And treasury function stuff you're going to deal with in public accounting as you look at your companies, what they're doing, how they're putting their financials together. What's been really unique and rewarding is getting on the operational side as well. Because I sometimes feel like as accountants, we're not always thrown into the operational side of the business. How should we be going? How many machines do we have out there? What should be coming back? What do our routes look like? So it's really put me into a different frame of mind and really stretching me in ways I hadn't thought I'd get to touch before, but really in the best way. It's been very rewarding working on the ops side and with my corporate teams. And we also bought Century Gaming, which is out in Montana and Nevada. So we closed on that deal last year. And that has been a lot of fun as well, because we get to do the full integration, which, as any good accountant can tell you, we can plan as much as we want for how to do an integration. Sometimes they go great. Sometimes you have pain points, and you keep working through them to make sure we get everybody working together and on the same page. So that's also been a really rewarding journey that I hope a lot of your council members get to experience throughout their careers.
Wow, interesting. So it's a regulated industry as well, so that adds a whole new layer of complexity, right?
It does. And I think, regulation doesn't scare me too much because, as you had mentioned in my bio, I've worked in numerous industries, but I was out in Washington, D.C. for a while. I was actually auditing the federal government. So my clients were like the United States Mint, Secret Service, Customs and Border Protection, names that you would have heard before. So very complex entities in a heavily regulated environment. Then when I went to Chicago, my main audit client was Northern Trust. So again, a very heavily regulated industry, and insurance is extremely heavily regulated as well. So I've spent a good portion of my career in that heavily regulated world. So where that can be intimidating sometimes, I actually find comfort in it, because there's a lot of governing bodies looking over what you're doing, a lot of expectation for how you do things in the right way, in that right process.